to back in his words. But big game next. One of the biggest games of the weekend, if not the biggest game, second biggest game of the weekend, is England versus South Africa. This is a hard game to predict because South Africa are very good and England are very good. It's actually literally first versus third because South Africa back to the top and England back to the top three. I'm going to take South Africa here. I wasn't impressed with England. This is not me being salty because I think that if England were better, I would tip England because obviously on this podcast, I tell you my realistic opinion everywhere. So I don't really care what anyone's thoughts are. If you enjoy my opinion, cool. If you don't, then cool. But I will take South Africa here. I think they'll be too good. And I think it'll be a close game though. I'm going to go 5 points. I'm going to go 5 points and I'm going to go 30-25.
See, looking at this one, I would say it is the biggest game of the weekend purely because of the fact that both sides coming off a win last week. Would you call New Zealand-France bigger?
Yes.
See, I'm on the fence there. I feel like it's like the World Cup rematch, the final of the World Cup.
That's a good point.
12.
That's a good point, but France versus New Zealand is also the one that everyone was looking at pre-tournament. So now that's changed because everyone pre-tournament wasn't talking about England versus South Africa. They were talking about France versus New Zealand.
Is that because we're closer to them in location, though, in terms of we don't really hear the South African and English media as much because we're from New Zealand and Australia?
That's the potential, but in the same sense, everyone believes that France is a very good chance to win the World Cup at home, and New Zealand are always a good chance to win the World Cup, and they're in the same group stage together. And also back in 2011, New Zealand beat France in the World Cup final as well. So they haven't played a great deal since then, and I believe that that's going to be... Well, look, okay, I think equal first then. Equal first, because I think both these games are incredible. First. Yeah, because they're both incredible. And there's even Wales-Australia, but that's also because of all the injuries and outs and whatnot. It's just like Alan Jones and all the Australians and all that. It's not as big. So, yeah. Anyway, we're getting distracted here. What's your tip for England versus South Africa?
Well, I was stalling because I haven't quite decided on an exact score, you see, because like it's one of those matches. England have got a strong side, but have they got the same physicality and have they got the bench that South Africa will have? I guarantee you South Africa have to go Malcolm Marx, Stephen Kitsoff, Vincent Koch as their bench. They cannot switch it around now. They can't put Malcolm Marx. As much as I would love to see him get a full kind of half of rugby in the first half, I feel like that impact that the bomb squad for South Africa can have, they've got to still keep that as their impact, because it's one thing thinking you can counter it, but then it's another thing when they're out there and they're just running around you. So I'm going to say, I think South Africa sneaked this one. You said by 5. I'm actually going to go by 3.
I was thinking 3 originally too, but I changed it to 5.
I think there's going to be some sort of kick later on in the game. Maybe it's a drop kick. Maybe it's Frans Steyn from 50 out.
Janči's drop kick. Remember that one?
Maybe. It was a good one, wasn't it?
It was a good one.
So I'm going to say South Africa by 3, and I'm going to say the score will be 25-22.
Yeah, so close. I went 30-25, a little bit more points. You went to 25-22. I think they're both pretty realistic scorelines there. Nothing too crazy, and we both obviously get credit to both those teams.